Hello, everybody. Welcome to another week with Pastor Sunday. I'm also here this week with another friend of mine, with the same friend of mine that was with me last week, Pastor Dele from London. He's coming to visit me here in Ukraine, and I think it will be a wise thing for you to share and for him to share with us, for all of us to receive from his wisdom. So last week we spoke about culture and about adopting and surviving, not just surviving anyhow in a foreign land, but surviving with your values and with your culture in mind, and so that you don't lose yourself eventually. Today, I would like us to talk about how to survive yourself in a foreign land. Because the reason why many parents don't take care of their kids is because they're working 2 jobs or 3 jobs, and so they abandon because survival, the price of survival is high. So you have been able to do it in London. You know, how do you start your life afresh and still survive and still maintain your relationship with God, with the family, your values, and all those things?
That beautiful question. The foundation of everything is God. That was the starting point for me in England. When I got to England, the first thing, and I believe that's what we are going to talk about just today, the foundation of everything is God, in that He owns everything. And anyone that has time for God, our God will be identified with Him.
No, because when people come to different countries, they must pay for the rent, they must pay for the food, so they don't have time to go to church. Some people say.
Oh no, that is a mistake, not a mistake. That's a tragedy. If anyone has that chain of thought, that is a calamity. And the end of someone like that will be ignominious. In that, we came into the world, this planet Earth, by God. He is the foundation of everything. So when I got to England, the first thing I did was to find a good church and get integrated, praying, fasting, studying the Word of God. Why? Because when you align with God, He will take over your life. He becomes the manager, He becomes the director, He becomes the instructor. And we have seen it, we saw it in the life of Abraham. Anyone that wants to be blessed, and God said, I trust Abraham, because Abraham will instruct his household to do this. Yes. Why? Because Abraham was blessed and had time for his children. So the same thing when any man or woman gets to a different country, to sort it out, you need God and God. If you ask me again, I will say God, 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 and God. Why? That was exactly what I did. And I entered the UK, and I was among a group of young men. I was the only one going to church. But by God's grace, I'm the only one that has been able to touch Britain. Why? Because one of them said jokingly in 1990 that Dele, you are not eating, you are not drinking, we are cooking, you are fasting and going to church. You think God can help you in this, man? But today, He has changed His word, knowing fully well that God has helped me beyond my dream. The question to the people watching this telecast is, where is your God? Where did you put Him? Some of you understand. So what I want to say to you is that anyone that wants to survive in a foreign land, they will need God to give them direction. They will need God to inspire them. They will need God to grant them favor. They will need God to give them grace. They will need God to be merciful on them. Now, why? Because when you get to a foreign culture, it's either the language is against you, the people are against you, the accent is against you. Your qualification that you are bringing from your country may not be accepted where you are. You need God to show you the way. My God. And if the way of a man pleases God, even his enemies will be at peace with him. Number one, God, 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 God.
Brilliant! Wow, that is such a golden point right there. That is a golden rule, and we will still listen to other golden rules this week. And so, thank you, and see you tomorrow. Hello, welcome to another week with Pastor Sunday and Pastor Dele. This week I'm talking about how do you survive as a foreigner moving to another culture or another continent altogether. You said yesterday that the first most important thing is to maintain your relationship with God. So what people do by saying, well, I have to work, I have to do, that's a deception of the enemy.
Of course, they have exchanged, they have sold their destiny, like Esau, for a morsel of bread.
Okay.
Yeah, that was what they did. Anyone that says, well, Jesus said, man shall not live by bread alone.
I see.
Now, I did not know that I'll be coming down to do an interview. I was just writing the message upstairs. Man shall not live by bread alone. What did Jesus mean by that? Jesus did not say, don't eat, but it means that anyone that only lives for food will die. That is just it. There are other things better than food for you to survive. When Jesus said, man shall not live by bread alone, people are saying, I have to walk and walk and walk. If you only walk, there is no one that can become rich by walking. It is the blessings of God that make us rich without sorrow being added to it. So therefore, for example, someone that is only walking without getting information. Information is power. An information stumbled on could change the horizon and the landscape of your life forever. That you could earn in 1 year what some people cannot earn in a lifetime through working full-time, 2 full-time jobs.
That's right.
So therefore it is the deception of the devil, and Satan is so cunning. He knows that as long as you go after bread, you will miss your destiny. And that was why he tempted Jesus and said, turn this stone to bread. And that's what a lot of people who move from their country have been doing. They are running after bread. They are running after money. They are running. Nothing wrong but as long as those things doesn't take the place of God in your life. So it is great deception to say that if you don't walk, you won't eat. You will walk, you have to walk, you have to. It is great deception. Some people say they are walking because of their children.
Yes.
But Obama didn't even know his parents are not alive. He still became a president. So therefore, we cannot leave God because we want to feed our family. Because if anybody dies today, those children will still survive.
Brilliant.
So therefore, it is deception. One must always make sure that you have time for God, and also in addition to that, you need, when you get to a foreign land, after finding God, you need to find information about the culture of the people. What do they like? What do they don't like? What has been the greatest hindrance to the progression of immigrants in that country? What is their perception? How do they relate to strangers? What are the things that keeps people back? What are the mistakes that people that were there before you made, so that you can learn from their own errors rather than learning from your own mistake, or moving 10 steps forward, 50 steps backward. So therefore, when you get to a foreign land, after aligning yourself with God, solidifying your relationship with God, the next thing to get is information. Amazing. It is very powerful.
Amazing. Very, very good. Well, I think this message and this telecast is going to save the life of a lot of people. A lot of people are going to be saved. Their destiny is going to be rescued thanks to these words. And tomorrow we'll talk to you more. God bless you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another day with me and Pastor Dele from London. And we're talking about how do you survive? How do you survive in a foreign land when you are just moving there? And many people have lost themselves. Many people have lost their priorities just because they didn't have the nuggets and the secrets of survival in a foreign land. So you mentioned God as number one.
Yes.
And number two, information.
Yes. When one gets into a foreign territory, you need information. Today, many people are in prison, not because they are criminals, but because they didn't get the right information. Today, many people have gotten married to the wrong people for lack of information. Some people have joined gangs for lack of information. Or some people have wasted a better part of their life working rather than getting information. For example, information about adding value. I got to England years ago, and I was working at McDonald's. I was a train station cleaner. cleaning tube stations, and people will see me and be no. But
Nobody can believe it.
of course, I decided to get information. How can I add my value? How can I better my life? And that was when I got information about how to become a lawyer. And I studied in England. And today, with all humility, there is hardly a city that I enter in United Kingdom that someone doesn't recognize me. Why? Because of information that I got about adding value. So people get into a foreign land, they have to get information, and they have to know God. They have to get information. When you get information, you have to get information about adding value. And I thank God there are some guys I met some years ago that came to the church, and I gave them information. Some of them are earning £100,000 a year now.
You added value to them.
Of course, I added value, but they came to the right place. You understand? I believe tomorrow I'll be talking about finding yourself in the right company, because iron sharpens iron. But today, environment, yes, the people that you move with. But today I'm talking about
add value.
Yes, you need to add value.
Or go and get information that will add value.
That will add value to you, and then you become. Yes, people may not like you because of your accent. They may not like you because of your color. They may not like you because of your ethnic origin or your country. But if you have what they want or what they need, they will patronize you. I represent clients from over 50 countries.
Despite your accent, despite your...
I don't think they all like me, but they like my knowledge.
They need it.
They need it. So they have to. So the thing is that adding value is a key. When you get to a foreign land, you have to do everything within your power to
add value to yourself.
To add value to yourself, and then you can add value to the life of others. Without that, that person will struggle, and 50 years in a foreign land will just be wasted.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Pastor Dele, and we will continue this talk tomorrow, because I wonder if there are people you know, like for example in England, who've been there like for 30, 40 years and have not made anything of it. But we'll talk about that in the next program. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Well, we are continuing this talk with Pastor Dele, and it's interesting. How do you survive in a foreign land? I know you've mentioned a few points, but before you continue those points, do you know people really? Because people, relatives back at home and family members back at home are waiting for some of them and saying, oh, he's gone for 20 years, he's gone for 30 years, he's gone for 40 years, we don't know where he is. Do you think there are situations, have you run into people like that?
Not run into people like that. I know a lot of people like that.
No.
And what happened?
Who are not really making it?
Of course, they through no fault of theirs, but through their ignorance when they got there. And for people who are watching this telecast, I believe that it's a great opportunity to address the errors of the past, if there was any. And if there are no errors and people are just entering a foreign land, I believe this is an eye-opener to prevent them from running into errors. Now, what happened was that some people got to a foreign country, and the first 5 years of their life was doing drugs, moving with the wrong friends, stealing, being locked up by the police, having a criminal record, and with that, they cannot do anything with their name because they are messed up. Some people got there and they got to a foreign land as a student. And instead of adding value, they abandoned their education for work. But what people have forgotten is that...
Because some people say you need to, you cannot go to school if you don't have a scholarship and you don't have rich parents.
Yeah, but that is...
But they need to go work, so they abandon their education. That happens to a lot of people.
But that is deception. I, as a person, I worked 7 years at night and studied 7 years during the day. You understand? Alongside.
So when did you sleep?
Well, if I'm able to find 1 or 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours here and there, and I did it. I sponsored myself to the university. I didn't get bursary. I didn't get any support from the government because I had no immigration status. I even the work that I was doing then was I was just working, taking a risk to work, and I paid my way. Today, so what I want everyone watching this telecast is this: once you get that value, it becomes yours. I would say do everything possible legally to add value, because people get to a foreign country instead of studying. They go to work and they abandon their education. But knowledge will start working when all your friends who are hardworking become tired. When they can no longer do anything, that's when education kicks off. You see lawyers, they make their monies in their 60s. Doctors, accountants, they make their money when everyone is retired. They are still consultants. So knowledge, you cannot abandon education for work, because eventually you will get older than your age. Eventually you work to pay bills and you become frustrated.
So there will be a time when you cannot go and still be cleaning the toilet
of
or
course,
the metro.
Of course, that's when education works. You just get a pen and you look at doctors, they just check your eye and say, well, I'll give him a tablet, and that's all they do. They don't lift a finger. So most people waste their time at the earlier part, or some get into the wrong relationship, in that they go and meet a strange woman, a strange man, and say they found a husband, and at the end of the day, the relationship breaks down, and for 5-10 years of their sojourn in that country, they've achieved nothing, and some of them don't have the status to live in that country, so they start hiding. Some work in different people's name, in a different identity. So for the first 10 years of their life, they cannot say this is what they have achieved. And the longer it takes you to achieve, the more difficult it becomes for you to measure or to go back, because people are expecting you. And the disappointment for most of them is that people who came after them and did the right thing, who have been going back home and showing them that I'm back with goodies. But people who have been there, so we've seen a lot of people, 10, 20 years, some got married to the first person. If the marriage broke down, they got another person, they took this property from them, they took that property from them. So that was why I said, in everything you want to do, when you get into a foreign culture, make sure you have God on your side so that He can lead you. Wow. The deep, call it onto the deep, so that you don't get into the wrong group, you don't get into the wrong association, you don't get married to the wrong person, you don't abandon your education for a piece of bread. So surviving in a foreign land, one has got to do everything. If you need to get knowledge, make sure you get it and work. If you look at some of my people, I ask my church members, I say, how old am I? They don't know. Some of them say you are in your 30s, some of them say you are in your 40s. Some I say, well, you know what? Because I don't do much. Education has limited the sweat. It has limited the hard labor. It has reduced everything, because I only need to sit down and sign paper. So what I'm trying to say, and this life, and some people watching this telecast may turn around and say, well, not everybody can be a lawyer. I didn't ask them to be a lawyer. Not everyone can be an accountant, but if everyone cannot be, why should they be you?
Thank you so very much, Pastor Dele. It's intriguing, exciting, but our time is over now, so we need to meet you tomorrow. So thank you, everybody. We'll meet Pastor Dele tomorrow. You wanted to talk about another factor that will help people to survive in a foreign land. You wanted to talk about the environment or
the friendship. What I have found is that iron sharpens iron. Proverbs 27 verse 17. A man sharpens the countenance of his friend. Who you see will determine who will see you. Who you move with will determine who will see you. So the friend of a cat will be a cat if care is not taken, and they will not know what is happening in the kingdom of lions. Now, what happens is when one gets into a foreign land, you need to associate yourself with good people. People, and you know them by their fruits, you know them. When you get to a strange place, you need to find a friend. And that was what happened. to Daniel and his friends.
That's right.
When your friend, if you move with the right people, people who believe in possibilities, people who believe that they can succeed, people who believe that they want to make it, they can make it, people who have ambition to succeed, definitely iron sharpens iron. It's like being under an anointed minister. The people under that canopy will thrive, they will succeed. Only one man, only one woman, but they will be succeeding. The same thing, iron sharpens iron. What I want to announce to you is this: anyone that you listen to consistently and regularly, eventually their words will affect or dominate your life. It enters into your ear, you watch it, and it enters into your heart. Now what happens is this: when one gets to a foreign land, you need to find a good friend. A good friend, association matters. When Daniel was promoted, he recommended his friend and said, King, I am not the only one. And Pastor, I discovered in the Bible, I believe Jesus will have to tell me this when we get to heaven. I discovered that Peter, James, and John were from the same locality, and they were partners.
Yes.
I believe Peter told Jesus that
they all became disciples.
I believe Peter told Jesus because he was the first one Jesus found.
Yes, and
I believe
his friend,
he told
Andrew, his brother Andrew, then his friend John.
That was why
and James.
The day I discovered, I said, "Wow, iron sharpens iron." And look at them. Peter wrote a chapter in the Bible, James and John.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you get into a place and you move with the right people, you will rise faster than your expectation. Iron sharpens iron. And this is the mistake some foreigners make. When they get to a foreign land, they go and maybe associate with their friends of over 30 years who had been in that country before them for 11 years.
He has not done anything.
He has not done anything. He couldn't even pay his rent. And that's your friend. The fact that you were friends in the past does not mean that he is still dreaming. When you get to a foreign land, you associate yourself with a dreamer. Praise God. Today I'm watched in many walls of many parts of the country on television because of my friends. I went to Daystar to preach some weeks ago, and Pastor Sam put my video on there. He said the whole world needs to hear the message.
Very good. Very good.
Up till now, my message is still on their website.
Very good.
So this is another one. Iron sharpens iron.
Very good.
Yes.
Thank you so very much, Pastor Dele. That was quite profound and convincing, very convincing. So thank you, everybody. Tomorrow we'll get back with Pastor Dele. Hello, everybody. This is Pastor Sunday again with Pastor Dele, who is visiting me from England, and I'm sure you have been tremendously blessed by the things he has shared with us this week. You are an example, Pastor Dele, of somebody who has managed to survive that school. I've gone through that process. You said you came there without papers. Mm-hmm. You were nobody then. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you were able to go to work, doing many jobs, mm-hmm. and then still be able to send yourself to school. Mm-hmm. And then became a practicing lawyer. Mm-hmm. And now you are helping others.
Mm-hmm. One thing I understood is that you cannot take others to cross a bridge that you have not crossed yourself. And that in most cases, nobody wants to listen to a non-entity. Because the thing is that the voice of the poor is despised. But where the word of the king is, there is power. And the Bible says, see a man who is diligent in his work. He shall not walk with mere men, he will walk with great people. Now I understood that. And for me to do that, I decided to add value, real value to my life. Yeah, because and adding value has opened unbelievable doors. And so the only thing I teach people that I really love or I have opportunity to meet is that they need to have value. Today, about 8 or 9 people are studying law in the church. Choir master, we met him some years ago trying to give my wife a parking ticket as a traffic warden.
Are you serious?
And my wife preached to him. Today he's a lawyer many others in the church. So while we have IT, we have nurses, we have people who are into childcare and the accountant, chartered accountants. We have lots of that thing, about 4 or 5 of them in the last 2 years. Now, what is happening is that I understood that you cannot really affect other people's life in a profound way unless you have value that you want to instill into their life. So, and by God's grace, I have made hard work, my friend. I have made diligence
to make yourself valuable.
To make myself valuable, and by God's grace, God has been helping us. Though I pastor a young ministry, but the influence, the impact is unbelievable. The impact is unbelievable. So there is hardly anyone that will say, well, they don't know about one of the things.
Tell us about your TV program.
Yeah, the television program. For example, recently we took a Monday to Friday slot on a TV station for the church, and the same thing for my legal work. So I talk on law every day in England and Wales, and I get calls from many countries: Sweden, Netherlands, all the countries of Europe, Spain, Ireland. They watch it, and through that, I've been able to talk of the kingdom of God beyond the 4 corners of a young church, and about law to many people that are perishing, because a lot of people are scared to death, especially people living outside London. They don't trust the people that they are living with. They can't tell them their status so that they don't call the police, or then maybe some of them are racist or not. So what I've found is that in a foreign land, if you add value, people come to me and they say, well, in England that there's discrimination, they are racist. But I say to them that, look, if you add value from my experience,
they will need you.
They will need you. Doors will open for you. Doors will open of its own accord. Adding value is a barrier breaker. Is racism destroying agent. Because if you have what people want, if they don't like it, they will have to patronize you.
They will pretend as if they like it.
Of course. And the thing is this, is that if you fail to add value, you won't have the mouth to talk that I had it, but they didn't give me the opportunity. If you don't know how to use a computer, they cannot make you a computer administrator. If not, you wipe off their database. So they try to blame the white people for their predicament, but in most cases, some of them have nothing to offer.
Wow.
Yes.
Brilliant. Wow. I just hope as many people who are living overseas will listen to this broadcast on the websites, Facebook, everywhere, where that you just have to learn from these wonderful lessons, because this is not a man that is stuck in theory, living in his own country. Somebody that has gone through it, he has lived it, and he's sharing from his practical example. Thank you. We'll talk to you much more. Hello, everybody. We're back today for the last broadcast with Pastor Dele today, and we've had wonderful 2 weeks with him, and I really hope that these 2 weeks have been a blessing to a lot of you. And Pastor Dele, I know you've written some books.
Yeah.
Will you tell us a little bit about your books?
Yeah, I wrote. I've written 4 books so far. The other one will be coming out shortly. The first one is Discover Your Purpose, which is a historical perspective of my life. Coming to England as a visitor and as a cleaner, as a burger fryer, to discovering who I am today. And when you discover your purpose, all hell will break loose. You forwarded that particular book, and it has changed a lot of lives, because I showed them in the book how to discover your purpose and how to fulfill your purpose. Yeah. And I'm a proof. And you see, someone
from my experience.
Yeah, someone said if someone that doesn't have testimony, they are not worth listening to.
Yeah.
I'm a bundle of testimony, not by pride, but I have living. It's a fact, a living proof. The second book is Prayer is Not the Answer,
which is very popular.
Very popular and controversial book, because people said prayer is the answer. Well, if any man fails to play their part and they rely on God to answer, to do what they are supposed to do, you said they are a criminal.
Yes.
That they should be arrested.
Yes. They are robbing.
Yeah. So prayer we only work if you with a corresponding action on your part. And I've seen a lot of women going to the mountain, they want a husband, they are praying and fasting, and the prophet lays hands on them. But to their shame, the woman they don't know how to dress. They don't look attractive. They don't look attractive. They are 20-year-olds and they dress like a pensioner. As a result of that, their prayer becomes unanswered. If you don't add value and increase your earning prosperity.
So even if God comes to tell a man that that is your wife,
you say
the man
Satan can not rebuke you.
Yes. And they mean, yes, this might be the voice of the enemy.
Of course. Or the woman is older than me. Or you didn't add value and increase your earning. Increase your earning potential, and you go into church and say, I bind the devil. The third book that I released is called Add Value. Add value, for example, in England, if I'm not in the church, you cannot see me without paying to see me. You pay. You pay your hard-earned money, over $100 to see me for 2 minutes. So if you add value, people will...
You become valuable.
You become valuable. The fourth one is denied by character, where I talked of the superiority of our character to education, to prayer, to fasting, to quoting the word of God, because if all those takes you to the top, the lack of character can bring you down. And whatever has the potential to destroy everything you achieve through prayer, fasting, and quoting the word is the most powerful. Character in the negative could be very destructive, more than an atomic bomb. Wow. And we've seen everyone who achieved everything, and the lack of character brings them down. So as I denied by character,
very good.
Is
Thank you so very much, Pastor Dele. We've had an eventful 2 weeks with you, and I just want to appreciate you and say you've done a very good job. And I'm sure if you go to my Facebook page, maybe in the next 1 week or so, you will see a lot of comments from thousands of people from all over the world commenting on the wisdom you have given to them. Thank you so much.
God bless.
And God bless.